PPP loans are now based on gross income for self-employed small business owners who file a Schedule C. This is the latest guidance from the SBA, but there's two camps of people. Those that have never applied for a PPP loan and now have the potential to get not one, but two PPP loans based on their gross income. And then, of course, there's those of you who have already applied and are now wondering, what about your loans? Can you get more money? I'm here to help both camps. First, I'd like to walk you through a FastLane application. You can apply for both the first draw and second draw now using line 7 of your Schedule C, that's gross income. I've partnered with the people at Womply and I'd like to show you what that application looks like. But also stick around because later in the video I will address questions I've been getting about what if you have already applied for a PPP loan and when the SBA will actually implement these new guidelines. You're not going to want to miss this. Full disclosure, I have partnered with Womply, who has created a FastLane application for those of you who have never applied for a PPP loan, not PPP1 or PPP2. This is what the application looks like, and I wanted to focus this application process on those people who don't have multiple employees. Essentially, they work for themselves, they're sole proprietors, they file a Schedule C. You can see that the start of the application simply asks for things like your first name and your contact information, including email, mobile phone, zip code, and then they ask about how much you make and if you've ever received a PPP loan before. If you have, you can still use this application. It'll just route you a different way, and in good time, everyone will be allowed to apply using their line 7 gross income. But specifically, the FastLane application is open and using gross income right now. If you check no, I have not received a PPP loan before, you can start the application and you can see that it's going to just double check to make sure that this is right for you. For example, it is not for people currently who have received an EIDL loan. I'm sorry about that. Also, they're going to need to send you a text message, so you need a mobile phone. They need you to log in with your bank account because they are going to route the money right into that same bank account. And you need a PDF form for all your tax documents from 2019. They're going to ask you to upload those. So if you need to go gather those or if you need to get a bank account, I'll leave a link down below to an offer through SoFi. Right now they're giving you $50 when you open up an account and deposit $500. I am recommending that. It's not necessary, but it's a really good idea to keep the PPP money and your other business accounts and personal accounts separate, simply for good, clean documentation when it's time to apply for forgiveness. Up next, they are going to ask you to verify that email address. You can see here that they're going to send you a link that, yes, you can use in the future to access this same application if by chance you needed to go back to it. And then they go ahead and verify your phone. I did type in one of my Google Voice numbers before and it actually did not work. They said that I had to have a mobile phone, not a landline or a VoIP. So if you don't have that, you are going to need to use one. What I really like about this application process is it is crystal clear what's going to happen. There's going to be 7 things. You can see they're going to ask for some basic information, a few things that the government requires, and then they're going to ask you to connect your bank, upload those tax documents, and simply select what you want and sign. The basic information is exactly what you'd expect. Go ahead and fill in your first and last name and your address, city, state, and zip. And then they will ask for your social security number, date of birth, and they need to know the date you were in business. In order to get a PPP loan, you do have to have been in business by February 2020. Up next, it's going to ask you to certify key facts. If you go ahead and click that, there is going to be a series of questions that you have to answer no to. And go ahead and read through these. Some people can be disqualified from getting a PPP loan, but I'm going to tell you that more than 40 million small businesses do qualify and have still not applied. So read through this, certify that the answers are no, and then go ahead and click confirm. There is one question where you have to answer yes, and that is that your principal place of residence for your business is in America, and you want to confirm that the answer to that is yes. There are demographic information questions, and those are optional. You can click skip if you want to skip them. You can enter them if you want. The government is trying to keep track of everyone from minority to low-income businesses, and they just want to know where and who got the money. But again, it's up to you if you decide to fill this in. Now comes time to connect your bank. And if you are familiar with any of the online products or fintech services that I have talked about on this channel, then this is really no big deal. Essentially, they're going to look for your bank account to deposit the money in, to verify that you have an account to deposit the money in, and to confirm that you qualify. And one of the things that you're going to need to do is to log in using Plaid. Now, Plaid I've used for a number of different websites. It's an encrypted way of connecting to your bank through a third party. Visa was actually going to buy Plaid earlier last year. It's been around for a while and a lot of companies use it. The banks and Womply don't have access to your credentials to be able to log in, so it's this third party linking the banking information automatically. Go ahead and type in your bank. As you can see, I put SoFi, and again, the link down below to that bank is in the description if that's the one you want to use. When you enter your credentials to logging in, they almost always send a verify your identity two-factor authentication. So in my case, I got a cell phone text message. Perhaps you're going to get an email. It just depends on your bank. Make sure you confirm which account you want it in. I'll give you, for example, if you have multiple accounts, checking and savings with one bank, just go ahead and select the one, those last couple of digits to make sure that that's where you want the money deposited. Moving on, they're going to ask you to upload those tax documents. Now, specifically what's required right now are the 2019 documents. Now, if PPP loan applications get extended, you may be able to upload 2020 documents, but right now they're asking for 2019, and they're asking for everything, all of the 1040 documents, including the Schedule C. You are going to need that in PDF form. And if you are a little confused, like which forms do they want? Essentially, they're asking you to just upload all of them. And if you need a little bit of help or guidance, they do have an example of what the Schedule C looks like, just to make sure that it's included in your return, because they are going to ask, did you upload a Schedule C? Just double check that you have everything, go ahead and click next, and then upload those tax documents. As you can see, this process is very streamlined, so if you give them what they need, they can get it to the lender, and you should get your deposit very quickly. So they're just double checking here and letting you know that if you don't give them what they need, then the application could be delayed. Now, I told you at the start of this video that we're going to focus on Schedule C, so it's asking, did you upload them? The answer is yes. And it's going to ask you for the amount on line 7. Now, line 7 is that new gross income rule. No longer do you have to worry or use line 31, which was net profit. Now, to be clear, it's still maxed out at that 100K figure. So I'm going to put in 110,000 just so we can see that even if you made more, it's only going to give you up to 100K for that calculation. And it's that same calculation that we've been using all along. The only difference is now it's line 7 divided by 12 times 2.5. It'll ask you if you uploaded a Schedule F. You can say no. And then it's going to ask which best describes you. Now, to be clear, a Schedule C is for a sole proprietorship. So I'm just going to select sole proprietor. If for some reason you want to select one of the other ones, that's fine too. And now they're going to need the type of business that you are in. So you can search for that business or you can scroll through the list. Either way, there is a small group of people who actually get a little extra money, those in restaurants or hospitality, and that's what they're checking for here. Moving on, they're going to give you the option of if you want to process 1 or 2 PPP loans, meaning that this forgivable loan, essentially a grant, is offered in a first draw and second draw form. So now we can see why we're using this specific application. It's up to you, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't select the larger of the 2 amounts. They're both forgivable and able to be used as owner compensation. Go ahead and click Next. And here they're just going to let you know what happens. You're going to be able to sign an application and a promissory note to be funded by the lender for the first draw, which is essentially half the amount you saw before. As soon as that's deposited, they're going to email you a link to sign for your second draw and then repeat that same process. The only thing to keep in mind is that once you hit submit, Womply sends it on to the lenders and they pass it along to the SBA. The SBA is notoriously slow. They tell you they're supposed to fund it in about 10 days, but it could take up to 2 weeks. You can always contact customer support and find out what's going on. But if you are wondering what's taking so long, it is almost always the SBA actually funding these applications. Here's a quick overview of what you can expect now that you have applied. First draw, promissory note, second draw, promissory note. And then there is some disclaimer information here from Womply that it's important for you to read over. They're trying to help you get this loan processed through a lender. They are not the lender, and they just want to make that abundantly clear. They'll ask if you're sure you're done, and you can hit yes and submit. They'll give you a little confirmation and let you know that it takes, about 24 hours for them to process it on their end, just to make sure everything looks good. They have customer support. There's a number you can call. There's a little chat feature on the website, so be sure to check that out if you have questions. Some key takeaways if you haven't applied before. This is by far the most streamlined process I have seen since last spring. However, to those of you who have already applied, I have some good news. In my private Facebook group, someone sent me this message that said they've already been contacted by their lender for them to update their loan application using line 7. I've been hearing mixed things everywhere from the New York Times to people on Twitter saying they're not going to be able to retroactively give people who've already applied more money. However, what I'm telling you is that if your application is currently in process or essentially in limbo, that these lenders are already reaching out, trying to update them before they send them to the SBA. Likewise, it has been crystal clear that farmers and ranchers were already able to adjust their previous PPP loan amounts using gross income. And now that these changes apply to sole proprietors, again, I see no reason why the lenders cannot submit that request on your behalf like they did before. So I will let you know when that news is released, and fingers crossed it is sooner than later. I also anticipate an extension of these PPP loan applications. Right now, it's set to end in just a couple weeks, and that's just not enough time to use up all these funds and give the money to the people who need it the most. There are a ton of resources on my website. We're talking podcasts, blog posts, so be sure to check that out. And please don't forget to like this video, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. I want to give a quick shout out to the handful of students who I teach that just discovered this YouTube channel. They also found me on TikTok, so spread the word. I'd love to get to 20K subscribers by the end of my 1-year anniversary, and I think I have like 10 days left, so do your magic. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.